start with the offensive line. Obviously, you all started at the end of last year, so that cohesiveness, what does that do for you guys?
Yeah, that really helps us out, getting that experience playing together. And we started getting used to playing each other, especially when I started coming at the end of the season. And then that carried on throughout spring ball. And I feel like we're just picking up right where we left off at the end of spring ball coming into this fall camp.
Coach Moore said he's kind of been moving guys around so they learn multiple positions, but he said you're kind of locked in and left guard. Is there a big difference for you who's at center or who's at right guard?
No, I wouldn't say there's a big difference. We all get experience playing by each other's side. And I feel like when we do that in practice, it doesn't matter who we're playing against. All the calls are the same, or what we're trying to accomplish is the same thing. So we're on the same page, and we just go out there and do it.
Been an offensive lineman your whole life?
Pee Wee, I was I played a little bit of everything. I was quarterback, tight end, punter, you name it, and then really switched over to offensive line my sophomore year of high school.
How are you different now? I mean, you got a year of game experience under your belt, starting at the end of last year. How are you different? How have you improved?
I would just say I'm more confident, and I'm learning to use my length that I've been blessed with. That helps me out a lot, and just controlling my body, using that to my advantage. So I feel like I used some of that at the end of last season, and during spring ball, that was something I really focused on doing, and coming into fall camp, this is something I continue on working on.
Unless you got that shirt on, brotherhood.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the brotherhood of the offensive line and how close you guys have grown to be.
I'd say we're probably the closest, not one of the closest on the whole team, just because we're all friends in the O-linemen. Sometimes in position groups, you see a couple guys here, a couple guys there, but all 15 of us, however many there are, we're all close with one another. A couple times we've had them over. Me, Wyatt, and Bryce Biggs, we all live together, and sometimes we have the whole offensive line over there. We grill some burgers and we just hang out and have a good time.
How many burgers?
A lot.
To that end, because actually I was going to ask about that, how important do you feel it is for an offensive line, especially to have a brotherhood and have chemistry? Because you can have groups that have talent,
Right.
but how important is that to really be a top-fledged?
I feel like that's one of the most important things you need, because to make an offensive line, all five have to do the same thing, the right thing to look good. If one person does something wrong, takes a step the wrong way, it makes the whole line look bad. So I feel like chemistry is a very big, important part of it, and I just feel like we're, as a whole group, we're unbreakable, and we're just learning together. We're just doing everything as one. I feel like that really helps us out on the field. We're on the same page. We all do the same thing. And if Frazier says something, we all got it. We're not no, let's do this. We're all make sure we're on the same page, and that just really helps with chemistry, getting stuff done.
Do you feel like it's more now than even months ago, and certainly before that? Because we're just seeing a lot more of the brotherhood T-shirts and that
Yeah,
slogan.
I feel like as offensive linemen, we've always had it. Just the more we practice together, I feel like it gets more stronger, because the more time we spend with each other, the more we're going to connect and create that chemistry.
How different was it to become a starter when you moved in the starting rotation, as far as being a part of the group?
Yeah. Well, I feel like with the O-lineman, you always feel a part of the group. So I wouldn't necessarily, if you're not starting, you don't feel a part of the group, because we all do everything together. But when I did become a starter, it was just more responsibility, I guess, going into each week and just studying that much harder, practicing that much harder. So.
When did it click for you? Was there a practice, a game when you felt like I'm contributing, I'm a part of the team, I'm in the plans? When did that all happen for you?
I feel like that really started happening when I first got here, even though I wasn't starting. When I came in, I was a third string. I was getting limited reps into my first fall camp because it's mainly ones and twos. But even going into my freshman season, I knew I was contributing to the team as a scout team O-lineman, knowing I was helping the defense get better. And as a scout team player, I was getting better as I was going against the ones every day.
Anything that surprised you once you got into games about how different that was than practice, or was it different?
Well, it is different, yeah. It's a like going into that first play, you're a little nervous. In practice, you're not really nervous because like say you accidentally take the wrong step, like yeah, you did it wrong, but there's not going to be much consequence. In a game, that could be a TFL or a sack. So it's just a lot more pressure. I personally just like try to calm myself down, got that first hit in, and just locked in for the rest of the game.
How about a game? Was there a game that kind of clicked for you and kind of solidified yourself?
I would say that was probably my first start TCU week because I split reps at Texas Tech, and that was just when I got my first feel for actually playing in a game. And I feel like it really just hit me when I got that start versus TCU and played the whole game.
What did you do well in, you think? What went well for you?
I just feel like just like getting in there and not like missing a beat, just like going back to brotherhood. We all like play with each other, so I feel like anybody can just step in there and just like get it done. And I feel like that's what I helped do. I got in there. I didn't hold anybody back. I tried to contribute, and we got it done.
Anything kind of look foreign to you, or guys maybe where they weren't supposed to be, or things that responsibilities or assignments that you're like, whoa, was it one of those things for you?
It was at the start. I'd say that probably happened during Texas Tech, just because the speed of it's different. Like the first couple plays, I had to really settle down and just like fall back on my training and what I knew.
What was it like last spring? You weren't necessarily competing for a starting
Right.
job, but you were still, contributing. And there's a number of young guys in that position this year, right? That because of Wyatt and Zach and Doug, they're not going to start, but they're good and they could play. I mean, do you give them advice on kind of what you went through last year?
Yeah, I mean, if like during walkthroughs and stuff, we're always giving them tips and stuff. And if I have to like tell them something, I'll just say practice like you're gonna play, because I know that's what I did. And you never know when it's gonna be your shot. And when it's your shot, you have to be ready for it. And I know a lot of those guys can't do it, so they just have to keep practicing, and they'll get their opportunity.
Is it hard to go through a spring camp knowing there's not really a starting spot for you? I mean, unless there's an injury or something that you're just going to be a 2. I mean, is it hard to, I don't want to say demotivated,
Right.
but is it just hard to know that?
Well, for me at least, going into it, I always just looked at it as like I'm competing against the person in front of me to hopefully make him better, and while I'm competing, it's going to make me better. So, like I said, when you actually get that opportunity, you can just step right in and take over.
You ever have to explain to people what you do? I mean, people watch a football game, they watch the ball.
Right.
They don't watch you. Maybe
Right.
maybe your mom does, or your dad, or
Yeah.
maybe somebody that's an offensive line guy. But you have to explain what you do. Do people understand? I guess.
Sometimes you have to explain it. Like sometimes, like, well, why'd you do this? It's just like most of them just watch the ball. You can't. I guess like offensive line play is not fun, but it needs to be done. That's where like the hard work goes. I mean, I'm not saying other stuff isn't hard work, but I just feel like people think watching the ball is more fun. And when you actually look at the offensive line, it's a lot more like technique and a lot more details that you need to look for. And I feel like it's hard for somebody that's not like revolved around football to understand. So sometimes you have to explain it to somebody, but you try to like dumb it down for them. I guess.
In a perfect world, I mean, for a guy like you, the best games are the ones where you really go unnoticed, right?
Right, yeah.
You just do your job.
Exactly.
When people notice you, it's usually because you held somebody or
Right, yeah.
made a mistake. So that's kind of how you have to go about it, you think?
Yeah, for sure.
Aside from the offensive line, who else are maybe you close with in terms of like
close.
friendships and things like that? Since
I'd say we're all. For me, I probably could name majority of the people and like where they're from, except for probably the newcomers. But I'm pretty close with the tight ends and even some of the receivers. And on defense, the defensive line, like linebackers, bandits, you got to be close because you're going against each other every day.
Along the lines of not being noticed, et cetera, take me inside your head on 2 things. Exact opposites. The feeling you get when you make a block and you feel the back go right off your butt, break into the clear, and vice versa when you turn around and miss a block and the back's thrown in the backfield or the quarterback's down. What's the mindset on both those?
Right. For the first one, mindset when you make a good block and you know the running back's running by you, you did your job, you did what you had to be, and that's like going back to the question earlier. Like you won't be noticed when you do your block, so that's a good thing. And say like take a misstep and like your guy makes the tackle, you just gotta like you kind of get down on yourself for a second, but then you have to forget about it and play the next play. Because if you keep thinking about it, your next play might go the same way if you're just like keep that in the back of your head. So you just gotta try and forget it.
You think that's where the brotherhood comes, because there's only a select few that really know and appreciate what you do. I mean, there's a small circle.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that definitely helps with it.
Yeah.
Just because like we all understand like what we're trying to do, what we have to do. So I feel like that really helps.
You're congratulating yourself on things that nobody else has any idea
Exactly.
what you've just
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
You review your film from last year. What were the strengths? What were some areas maybe where you thought you needed to kind of fine tune some things and improve?
I feel like last year my biggest like downside of me was I would like keep leaning. That was a really bad habit, and I'm trying to break it, playing with my length, as I said earlier. And I feel like that's really going to help me come into this upcoming season, using my length, and that'll keep me from leaning over.
When you say leaning, is that tipping off plays?
No. That's like say I'm like pass setting,
Okay.
and like I go to strike too early, I end up leaning, and then they could shut off me. Right. Yeah. So when I use that length, I could keep my chest up and I could stay square, good body posture.
So not necessarily like being heavy on a hand and
Right.
tipping off a right or left. Or
That's something that like all of us work on continuously. Say it's like a counter play,
Right.
making sure we're not leaning, giving off a pull and stuff like that. We're always working on that.
You get away from football, what is it you like to do?
I like to, in my free time, I actually like to make stuff out of like old pallets and stuff. Like I made the state of West Virginia out of old pallets and stuff. I just like woodworking, working with my hands and stuff.
you ever watch the YouTube videos where they build houses out of pallets?
Oh yeah, I watch all that in my free time.
Make you a little dugout.
Yeah, it makes me want to like just get out there and start working at like 11 o'clock at night when I'm watching those videos.
So you got power tools and the whole thing?
Oh yeah. I stay busy when I have free time. That is.
You ever have ambitions of doing that? Building like a house out in the middle of nowhere, like a pallet house?
Maybe yeah. When I retire and I'm in my like 60s or something, that'd be nice. Middle of nowhere, build myself a little cabin, remote. Yeah, exactly. I'd do it. Yeah.
It's popular. I watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You build anything else? I mean, stuff with pallets. You
Right. I like
any other
oddball.
construction project or woodworking project?
Mainly just like out of pallets because it's free wood. You know, I don't have to spend any money on it, so I just break them apart, pull the nails out, and just use what I can.
Yeah, now you have to stain them though at some point, or they'll
Right.
just rot.
Right.
Yeah.
So you sell any of it?
No, I don't sell any of them. Usually give them to family and friends.
Where do you get your pallets from?
I usually bring them from back home because my mom works at a grocery store, so you have plenty of them. Exactly.
Yeah. You just gotta have a place to store them, right?
Yeah.
How do you find that hobby?
Well, I was growing up. I was always working with my hands. My dad, he really taught me and my brothers just like the definition of hard work, and it's just something I fell in love with. And, like in my free time, I can't really just like sit in bed all day. So I just always feel like I have to do something with my hands, or just like do a chore, just accomplish something. So that's what I like try to do now.
Is that spare time activity and mindset help you on the field?
Definitely, yeah. Because like you never want to. If I was growing up and me and my brothers, we were slacking off, helping my dad with some yard work, he'd get on us. So I just try to not just kind of transfer that to here. Just make sure you keep your head down and work constantly till the end of practice.
Could you go off grid, turn your phone off, or do you need 5 bars to go out in the woods?
Like,
Yeah, are you an
personally?
off grid guy?
oh
you be
yeah, I
an
could go
guy?
off grid. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you just give me like a little cabin, remote, maybe like a lake.
No cell coverage?
Nope, I'd be good.
Air mattress? Can you rough it?
You can give me a little sleeping pad. I used to camp growing up all the time, so I don't need much. No. You give me a little a tarp, and I'll throw it over a tree.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like watching. I don't like doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Watch the people
You
do it on videos.
need the bed.
You mentioned all the positions you played in football. There was track and field too.
Yeah.
Kind of bittersweet to have to narrow it down and focus on first one position in one sport and then just one sport, because you sound like you like to be well-rounded with your interests.
Right.
It was very serious in the game, becomes something different. You have to be just an offensive line or just a line.
Right. Yeah. It was a little bittersweet, but when I last time I picked up a disc, it was my the high school state meet, and I knew that'd be my last time because I just knew that like the opportunity of football would take me farther, and like the people I know and everything. And even when it just comes to like only playing offensive line, there's something new that you have to learn every day or you have to correct every day. So it's never like you're complacent with where you're at. You're always trying to get better.
Could you have been a good punter if you poured all your attention to that?
Maybe if I kept doing it since I was in Pee Wee football. I don't know.
Okay, anything else? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.